to another in my series of videos on jamming with pentatonic scales and bluegrass. The first two videos explored jamming in the key of G. In this video, we'll take a look at some ideas on how we can get the most out of playing in the key of C. One way to think of the notes of your C pentatonic is to hold your C chord and think of the chord tones plus two extra notes. The extra note will be the second, which is the D, and the sixth, which will be the A note. So that gives you a total of 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. And here's extending the pattern across 5 strings. I think of holding my C chord as I try to find all the notes. So the notes in black are the chord tones, the notes in red are the two extra notes that form the pentatonic scale. And here's the same concept for the F chord. I often hold just fingers 1, 2, 3 of that chord as I go through the scale. When we get to the G chord, I'm going to think of holding my G chord like this. And because it goes across all 6 strings, quite often I just will be using the lower portion of that scale. And not get into using the pinky notes. Here now are the patterns for our C, F, and G pentatonics based on the chord tones plus the 2 extra notes that form the scales. Many of you already know how to play a song, Wildwood Flower, that is like the concept I'm sharing with you, in that you're mostly holding chord tones, but you do have 1 extra note that's not in the pentatonic scale in that song. That second note right there. So if I leave that note out, listen how the rest of the notes come from the pentatonic scale. So if you already play that song, you've already developed a little bit of the coordination needed to play pentatonics while holding chord tones. A common place where you might end up using C pentatonics is when you're playing some fiddle tunes in the key of D. You'll simply think of yourself as playing in C, but move it up, capo 2 frets, and you'll be in D. To avoid confusion, we'll simply stay in C and not worry about the capo. Here are the chords for one such fiddle tune, Forked Deer, simply 1, 4, and 5 chords. We want to be able to allow you to simply fake a break on that song. We will start by doing so with only chord tones. We then will show you how to add some of the notes from the pentatonic scales. So here's an outline of the basic melody using just chord tones. One of the guidelines given in the other videos was to think of using just a small portion of that skill when you're first learning how to do this. So I'm still thinking of holding my C chord. In the version I just played for you, it was all quarter notes. So I still work with that area, but I'll try to get in some eighth notes. can do the same with the F chord. And what you heard on the G chord was it started on a higher note and worked its way back up. So you want to keep that same theme in mind there. And then the way the song works is the next two measures that come around repeat the opening idea. And then you want to come up with an ending similar to the one we did. But right here I could add some eighth notes. So see if you can follow the logic of this solo that I've put together, and then on your own try to come up with something similar. If you're comfortable, instead of picking all the notes, you could start adding hammers and pulls. Here's a really quick review of some of the tips we gave you in the earlier videos on how to make your pentatonic jamming sound a little better. The first one being know where your roots are behind each of the chords that you're playing against. So on the C chord, by knowing those roots, you can target those notes a little extra. Just makes you sound good. Do the same thing with F. And for G, you have three possibilities: 6th string, 3rd string, 1st string. The second important tip is to not always start low and then work your way up higher, but to also consider starting higher and work your way lower. Lastly, remember that it's fine to play quarter notes when you're first learning to do this. And eventually you can start to feel your pick move down and up. That's when you work in your eighth notes. As in the other videos, we now will give you a play-along track. This will be to the chords of the song Bury Me Beneath the Willow, which is also 50 other songs, so good practice. And so the first time through, I will noodle along so you can kind of hear how I'm doing it. Second time through, you're only going to hear the rhythm track and it'll be your turn to play along. Hang in there until the very end and you'll be well rewarded.